Timcast IRL may be dead, and if you're not familiar, Tim Pool is one of the largest political YouTubers on earth, and his business just broke down. And in this video, we're going to break down what happened to the business model and how you might be able to avoid that with your YouTube business. If you're new here, my name's Mark Savant. I'm a YouTube partner. I've got over 1.5 million YouTube views. YouTube cuts me a check every month. It's pretty nice. But more specifically, I'm a marketing agency owner, and I help 7- and 8-figure businesses generate better leads with YouTube and email marketing. And I just love YouTube. I love lead generation. I love business in general. And so I like to examine what's working and what's not and where the challenges are. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to listen from Tim and try to get a better understanding of what's happening with the Timcast media empire and where some of the problems in his business model might be, because I think it's a very, very interesting take. All right, so Tim is going to explain what's going on in his business in this video, and we're just going to kind of break down piece by piece. We are not going to watch the entire 2-hour video. I just want to start. There's a few really important segments here near the beginning we need to cover.
So apologies to Hannah Claire because she does a good job. But yeah, I think this might be the end. This might be the end. Cascade failure. Cascade failure. We are well off. It is not a financial thing. We make a lot of money, but piece by piece, the structure becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes impossible to manage.
Yeah. Bloat. And so what Tim's essentially saying here is that he's having problems with scale. He's having problems with scale. And I think this is a really common issue that comes for successful creators, social media influencers, because you're really good at creating videos on your own. You're very compelling. You're very interesting. But how do you scale that up if there's only one you? And so he's running into what I consider to be the creator first, business operator second problem. And actually, I suffer from this to an extent as well. As you get bigger, as you're solving bigger problems, as your team grows, you're a creator at heart. So scaling up all those business operations becomes tricky. And that's kind of, I think, the biggest challenge that he's got here. And by the way, I think Tim has done a great job with generating multiple streams of income from his show. Right now, he's doing a morning show 5 days a week. Timcast IRL, which is the podcast show that he's doing 5 days a week, every night for 3 hours. So there might be a little bit of burnout playing a role here. He also generates income. Most of that income is coming from YouTube AdSense, from Super Chats, where viewers of the videos can donate 10, 15, 20, $5, get a chance to ask a question or have their voice heard. He generates income from other shows that are on the Timcast network. He has a community, a paid community, which, by the way, I think is one of the best ways to generate income and scale your income if you are an influencer, is to teach. One to many. That's a great way to go. That said, it might be better. And I'm kind of in a place now where I'm less one to many. I'm more one to few. I want to take on like just a few high-paying clients that I know I can over-deliver value for. And I find that I'm having the most success with clients working that way. By the way, if that's something that's interesting to you, you can click the link below to schedule a call with me. I'd be happy to see how I might be able to help you scale your YouTube and lead generation business. At any rate, so he's got a community, he's selling swag and merch, and he also has a coffee brand that he sells, Timcast Coffee, or Timcast Brew, something like that. So anyway, that's where he's at. So he's done, I think, he's one of the best, I think, at scaling, but he's still running into that scale problem. Let's let him continue to kind of go into a little more detail on how the scale is impacting him.
And that's kind of where we hit today. So it's like, there's a series of, I would never call out anybody personally or individually.
Should.
No.
All right.
There's also legal ramifications to insulting employees.
Oh, that's true.
But I would just say that, like, compounding, laziness.
Yeah.
That builds up over time, which adds more and more workload to, me and Allison, to get to the point where we're just like, can't do it. And it's tough.
So this is a big challenge, I think, for business owners as well. You put a system in place, you put a person in place. Mr. Team member, you're responsible for this task. And it goes good for a few weeks, and then it drops off, and the task stops getting done. I got to say, I experience this. I think if you're a business owner, you've experienced this with team members, that you start to get into this comfort zone. And you're like, oh, I can stop watching that for a while, and that thing starts deteriorating. Like, oh, now I got to go fix that, and it's frustrating because you want to be the CEO, you want to be the operations guy, you want to be the marketing guy, you want to be recording your videos, which again is what Tim loves to do and what I love to do. And if you're a creator, you probably love creating videos as well. But there's all these different pain points, and as you scale up, typically you're going to need more team members, more employees to help handle those challenges. And you know, if someone gets too comfortable or starts getting lazy or gets maybe bored, they're not being challenged enough. Maybe they don't, maybe this is one of the problems is there's not enough vision. This is in my experience talking to huge business owners on the After Hours Entrepreneur podcast. Vision is the key. You want to get people on board. You want to excite people. You want to fire people up. You need vision. So maybe there's a little bit of a vision problem here. Not sure. Typically with politics, with religion, vision is easier. It's more simple because you're building for something that's just a tried and true. Not that politics are true. It's basically all bullcrap. But people feel very strongly about politics, and so it's pretty easy to create a vision of, you know, make America great again, or build back better, or yes we can, or whatever the tagline is. It's easier to create a vision in politics that people can get around. So I don't know exactly where Tim kind of went astray here. What I will say is that one of the challenges, and where he's going to talk about this in a moment, is Tim has many different business ventures that we've talked about. So one of the things he's been talking about for the last couple of years is I have this vision of having coffee shops set up all around the country that people can go and share coffee with freedom-minded people. And on the surface, that sounds great. The problem is that is so different from the business that he's already built, which is YouTube, media, news, community, influence, and trying to bring that from the digital world to the real world. Not easy to do at all. But I can't fault someone for trying that. Let's let Tim continue with his explanation of where they're at.
Tough because we've this is not a for a lot of people, they're hearing this right now like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? I was like, oh, we've been talking about this for months.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's fascinating because, like, you know, 3 months ago, we're going over like finances, and you know, I'll break it all down for everybody. We do really well. Our members, you guys seriously do sustain us, and that allows us to have what I would call a safe profit margin every month. That means we're capable, like, we're not worried that if we have a bad month, people are going to get fired or anything's going to shut down like that. And that's why I'm always like, we need members so that we can try and make new things and grow and do bookings and make things good and better.
So cash flow positive. And again, one of the things that I think a lot about as business owners, I want more revenue. But with more revenue comes more expenses. I think Tim is up to 32 employees now. Whereas when he was doing just one show as opposed to these 5, he had 2 employees. It was just him and 2 other people. And my guess is that his headaches and his profit margins were much higher. So again, you know, scale is great, revenue is great, and even, you know, maybe even, you know, take a reduction in your net income. Sure, I'll take a reduction. I'll take a reduction in my profit. That's okay. But I still want to be generating more as a whole, right? So I'll take a reduction, the percentage of my income, a percentage of my revenue. I'll take a lower percentage of the revenue. I just want more. I want more take home and less headaches. The other thing that's worth noting here is, you know, Tim is you know, kind of moving into a new phase of his life. And this is something that every entrepreneur, every human being is going to experience. You work really hard. You're going to go through one phase of life. In most cases, you work really hard during your 20s. In my case, I goofed off basically until I was into my mid-30s, and then I got serious. So, you know, that's my journey. But most people, I don't recommend that, by the way. Most people work really hard when they're younger in their 20s, maybe into their 30s, and then by their 40s, they've got, you know, you've got something built. Your business is built. It's kind of moving. It's growing. Then you can move into family time. Now your priorities start to shift. I need to make sure I'm taking care of my family. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to make sure that I have a great relationship with my wife or my spouse, husband, whatever. So he's kind of moving, I think, into this into your in from the single 20s, early 30s into, you know what, I think I care about my family a lot. I really want to put more value on that. Do I really want to spend 3 hours every night doing a podcast, or maybe, you know, in his case, doing all the prep? Do I want to spend 6 hours every day prepping and handling this podcast when my wife just wants to go out for dinner? Right? You know, and as a wise man once said, it's better to live in the corner of a shack than in a mansion with a quarrelsome wife. So shout out to Solomon on that word of wisdom. Yeah, let's continue letting Tim kind of explain a little bit more depth onto this challenge that he's facing here in his organization.
And all that stuff. And, you know, the problem is, even with all of that, without a proper CEO who isn't hosting the show, it's not possible.
Yeah, you have to have somebody to go to that's not you.
Yeah, and so
I've learned that on my own show.
And yeah, you need a hierarchy, like any business needs a hierarchy.
and we have that. I mean, we don't have that many people for his company. It's like, I think we have like 30 something employees.
Yeah.
And then like 10 contractors. But it's largely for the external projects that we are trying to do. The issue now is we can get rid of the external projects, and that's a lot of people that are part of the crew and everybody loves. And the challenge thing is, like, when we go through this and we're like, maybe we need to, you know, we want to increase the buffer, we want to increase marketing. How do we sustain this show? How do we build more memberships? Well, the core product is Timcast Morning Show, Timcast IRL, and then the culture where we're trying to make something. And so we got to do marketing, we got to do travel. Well, I can't travel. So if I get invited to go on I can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do
Because
any of the shows.
if I'm not doing IRL, I have to be dealing with paperwork on all these other projects. We've been trying to get a coffee shop open for 2 years. I'm done.
Yeah,
It's
longer
over.
than that.
Over.
Now.
Yep, over. And so, you know, the conversations I've had with
Pretty big announcement. Again, I mentioned this earlier, is he's trying to get this coffee shop going, but he couldn't. He's juggling too many balls in the air. And read a book earlier this year called Necessary Endings. There's just you just cannot do everything well or great. And I believe that if we're going to do something, we should be great at it. Okay, we want to aim to be the best at what we do. That's where you start to generate massive amounts of wealth, recognition, references, et cetera. So you want to be the best at what you do. And you know, the problem is, and I ran into this earlier, I cut out a mastermind group that I've been leading. I cut out an email newsletter on AI. I was really excited about it, but I just couldn't dedicate the time to it. I felt like I needed to really work with my marketing clients. And you just can't do everything exceptionally. And it drains you, So I get exactly what Tim's going through here. You know, he's trying to push multiple boulders up a hill, and that is not easy to do.
family is like, I am under no illusions that I have the capability to make this company what it could be. And I hear all these things. No, Tim, you're wrong. Oh, come on. We've been trying to get a coffee shop open for 2 years.
Yeah.
Clearly, I cannot do it. My feelings are not hurt when I'm like, well, I can't do it. I skateboard every day. I'm trying to do a nose mail nollie impossible out. I can't land it. And I'm like, maybe I'll get it one day, but I'm trying as hard as I can. But I am not going to cry and pretend that I can do something I can't do. So, you know, ultimately what it comes down to is we had our like, I don't know, 12th studio failure this morning.
The new one.
Yeah, the new studio failed. And, you know, my attitude with that is kind of just like, yeah, if we can't make cameras and a computer work, and despite all the previous failures we've had, there's not a single person here who can make sure that either the studio is operating or secondary studio is operating. We've gotten to a point in the company where everyone's kind of just kicked their feet up and said, I'm doing what I need to be doing. Yeah. And then that just means I'm Sisyphus pushing the rock up. The problem is people are sitting on the rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't imagine how frustrating that is. You're running a multi-million-dollar organization and built on cameras, lighting, and audio, and it's not working. Very frustrating. And so this is the thing that is remarkably predictable. Okay, so read this book earlier this year. It's called Predictable Success. You can kind of see the chart that I'm highlighting here. Every organization this is the natural life cycle of every organization. It starts off with your early struggle where you're just trying to make ends meet. You're just trying to make your first sales. Fun is when you're making money, everyone's happy, and then you reach a point where you are just a little bit overwhelmed. There's too much work coming in, so you need to meet the demand. You hire new people. You start putting together some organizational structure. I'm not sure if this is where Tim is at yet. It strikes me he might be there or maybe in treadmill, because after you've figured out all your systems, you've got the right organizational structure, then you hit predictable success where things just go. My guess is he's probably in this Whitewater section of his business. But the other problem that he's mentioning here, it reminds me a lot of treadmill. And treadmill is what happens when you and your organization get too comfortable. There's too many systems, they're too comfortable, and there's a lack of innovation. Okay, so the right where you want to be is in a predictable success where you have a lot of innovation, but you also have the right systems in place. And your business can fall too far on either side. Either one side, there's not enough systems and organization. On the there's too much innovation. And that actually kind of sounds like what Tim's going through. He's just trying to innovate, do all these different things. Not the right people in place. They're kind of like slacking off here, messing up there. This strikes me that he's in the Whitewater, and it's not fun anymore. That strikes me as where he's at. And the problem that Tim kind of mentions here, he doesn't actually call it out by name, but I can kind of see it, is that he wants to be in predictable success. But what he understands that in order to get into predictable success is he's going to need to hire CEO, CMO, COO. So, he's going to need to he's basically going to develop a C-suite. And he's seen this happen before. And, I follow Tim because I'm a fan of Tim's, but he used to work for Vice News. And the exact same thing happened to Vice. They brought in all the CEOs and the business folk and the corporate man, brought in the man, and killed the network, because what Vice was really good at was being rugged and gritty and cool and skateboard. And when they bring in the corporate guy, it completely kills the vibe. And I think he understands that that's the problem. This now, as I'm kind of looking at this chart, I'm understanding where Tim is at. He's in the Whitewater right now. And he understands that to get to predictable success, he's going to need to bring in a C-suite. And he's very loath to do that because he knows that when the C-suite can kill innovation. And so what I think that Tim might not understand, what Tim needs to decide on. And by the way, nothing wrong with staying in the fun zone. I'm more of a fun zone kind of guy. I'd be happy making a few $1 million a year, serving a few clients, keeping people happy. I'm not driven by creating a $100 million business personally. I just rather work with, 5 to 10 clients that we're crushing it for, generating a few $1 million a year in net profit. So I'd be happy with something like that. But the decision that Tim needs to make here, and again, just to kind of clarify this thought, companies like Vice that end up becoming too bureaucratic, what they do is they hit the Whitewater, they bring in the C-suite, things are fine for a while, they're in predictable success, but then they stop innovating, they lose their value, they lose where they were actually at, they hit treadmill, and then eventually the big rut, and then the death rattle when the carrion swarms come to feed. So what I think Tim needs to decide here, and it'll be interesting to see what he does, is make a decision of whether he wants to drop back down to fun, gut his organization, team members, all the different projects that he was trying to scale out, drop back to fun, which he's talked about, just hosting a few shows a week, 5 shows a week, which, by the way, another thing he mentions, I know I'm jumping around here a little bit, and this is something that I work with my YouTube clients, is if you're posting too much content, the content starts to cannibalize itself. And so what Tim mentioned later on in this episode is that he was doing a daily show, and then when he brought on an additional daily show, it cannibalized a lot of the viewership from his other show. And so he still had a similarly sized audience. Sure, he was generating more views, but similar sized audience as a whole, because not everyone's watching every video. And this is a problem that you can run into with some of the people I'm working with on YouTube, is if we don't want to release multiple shows on a day, we kind of want to spread them out like once a day or maybe once every other day. It depends on the business model. So anyway, a little bit of YouTube marketing nerddom right there. But anyway, so Tim's in the Whitewater. I have decided he's in the Whitewater and he needs to determine whether he's going to drop down to fun or if he's going to bring in a C-suite and try to get to predictable success. So I don't know exactly where you're at in your business, but I just wanted to kind of assess this. I think this is a big deal. It's one of the largest YouTubers in the space, one of the biggest podcasters in the space, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to gut this show. And I got to imagine it's a tough call to gut a show that's generating hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And, but you know what? He's got to decide, am I going to stay in the fun zone or am I going to really try to corporatize and systemize this thing? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But one more lesson for you. I have one more quick lesson for you. By the way, thanks for liking and subscribing. If you're into growing businesses, marketing, AI, you definitely want to subscribe to the channel. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So hit subscribe. But there's one more thing that I think is really important, and I run into this quite frequently with clients that are getting started on YouTube, getting started with podcasts. You go in, and it's very easy to be ambitious in what you believe that you can accomplish. Meaning, oh yeah, I could record a daily show. Sure, I'll go live every day at 5 p.m. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go live every day at 5 p.m. Well, that works for a little while, but the amount of burnout is immense. It is so hard to keep up that rate. I know basically nobody. I know almost nobody that is able to accomplish a daily type of recording. And if, I'm not saying it's impossible. You can, but I think it's better to say, hey, I want to go in with a right strategy. I'm going to record once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, although I recommend at least once a week. Once a week, I'm going to release something that's really valuable to my specific audience. I'm going to have calls to action. I'm going to drive them to buy whatever my product and service is. And what I think essentially what's happening here amongst some of the other things is we've got some burnout going on here. I think there's frustration, there's burnout, and Tim put in systems in place to help reduce his workload, but what he's realizing is that maybe it's not the right organizational structure. There's too much innovation, maybe not enough actually doing the job correctly, and he's got a challenge there. But burnout is real. Don't bite off more than you can chew. However, you gotta bite. You gotta bite. If you're not on YouTube yet, it is, in my opinion, the best place to make new clients, to generate better leads. YouTube is amazing, I don't know. You got to take a bite. YouTube, email marketing, AI. If you're not testing and playing with these things, my opinion, again, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But in my opinion, that is the most untapped resource. So if you like this video, thanks for subbing, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Peace.